Hello, friends. Good afternoon, church. Justin Jeter here with Janie Lewis. We're trying to get as much as we can here, close to the 6 feet, right, of social distancing. But we thank you for tuning in today. And this is the third in our series of stories of redemption and hope. And Janie has so graciously offered to share her story. And Janie, we thank you very much. Take it away.
Thanks, Justin. Abiding in darkness and awaiting the light is not the normal thing I'm thinking about every day. So, when I was 9, I made a plan for my life. I would graduate high school, attend TCU, become a teacher, get married, and have a boy and a girl. Most of that happened, except I had 2 boys. My plan did not include darkness. I grew up in a normal home, so I thought. But as I've grown up, I realized that it was not so normal. I thought everyone had a mom and dad who loved each other and adored their children, and yet I know that isn't always the case. I had an extraordinary childhood. We weren't rich with things, but we weren't poor either. I never felt deprived. We never were afraid and always knew that dinner would be on the table at 5:05 when my dad arrived home from work. We lived in a home where everyone loved each other and they also liked each other. So when I was 34 and my marriage imploded, I had my first experience with darkness. During that time, I experienced personal failure, feelings of inadequacy, and despair. After all, my parents made marriage look easy, and they would ultimately go on to be married 71 years. So where had I gone wrong? And why couldn't he love me the way my parents did? However, when you have children to raise and a job to go to, there isn't much time to dwell in the darkness. You just put one foot in front of the other and get on with it. During that time, there were many rays of light. I was able to take a trip to Europe with my best friend and to see the beauty of God's amazing world. I met new friends who were also divorced and remain some of my best friends today. I took my children to Disneyland with their friend because I wanted them to remember that their mother did something with them besides homework and laundry. And I learned to dance. Dancing brought much joy into my life, and it also brought dawn. You might wonder how someone with one leg shorter than the other, walking with a limp, could dance. But he was an amazing dancer who swept me off my feet. He helped mend my self-esteem and reassured me that I deserved to be loved. He was my light and joy, and 3 years later, we were married. We blended our families, my 2 boys and his 2 girls. So you see, I got my girls after all. Life was good until the darkness came. My sister had a major heart attack caused from complications of diabetes. She suffered a stroke during the surgery, followed by 2 staph infections. For the next 5 years, I would, along with her amazing husband, be her caretaker. Trips to doctors and eventually 3 times a week to dialysis. Several surgeries. Dark times when you watch your parents weep in hospital waiting rooms, wondering if this will be it. However, there were many blessings along the way. My sister Debbie, who I grew up sharing a room and a bed with, and who was my forever cheerleader, spent many wonderful hours together. Hours that would not have happened if she hadn't been ill. I learned so much about strength from her. A few months before she died, she threw me a 60th birthday party, complete with dinner and harp player, and with everybody that was important in my life present. It's a memory I will not soon forget. A light in the darkness. We also spent a day together at the Hallmark store where she bought birthday cards for her 1- and 3-year-old granddaughters for 16 years. Because she was almost blind, I had to read each card to her so she could select the perfect one. The lady at the store brought her a chair and we waited through the cards. Because she was a school teacher, she knew what they were probably doing at each age, so she wrote relevant messages to them. My hope is that her granddaughters will one day know the strength and love it took for her to do this for them. When we got home, she sat down and wrote a message in each card. She knew she didn't have long and wanted to leave a part of her with them. So every year on their birthday, it's my job to put dollars that equal their age in each card and present it to them. For their 16th birthday, she left their final card with a gift for each of them. So every year, I remember her strength and love. Don and I then moved to Granbury permanently and joined this amazing church, and life was good. Then the darkness started to creep into our lives once again. Because Don had polio when he was 2, the weakness caused by the disease had started to return. It was a slow process. God didn't dump it all on us at once. We had time to adjust to each new phase. He first lost the use of his legs. We adjusted to that just in time for him to get a cancer in his throat. Our routine each day became a trip to Weatherford for 33 days of radiation. That went well, and he made a full recovery. It was a blessing that he did not have to have any surgery. He slowly began to lose muscle usage in his arms and basically became like a quadriplegic. The only difference being that he could feel his limbs, he just couldn't use them. He could basically do nothing. He finally lost the use of his inner muscles that helped him breathe. This was probably the darkest time of all. There was no sleep in our house for about 6 months. He started to hallucinate and to be awake all night. It became difficult to be patient, hopeful, and pleasant when you're sleep deprived. I did my best to help him find joy and light during these days. We watched the birds and geese, watched our favorite shows on TV, and sometimes just sat quietly together. We talked about all the blessings and memories we shared and wished we could dance just one more time. We continued to go out for lunch each day, attend family gatherings when possible, Friday night dinner at Panchetto's with friends, and to church on Sunday. Don cherished his friends at FCC. When we could get home, he would say to me, "Those are some really nice people." And the music brought him such joy. Today, when I sit in church and hear the music, I smile when I hear one I know he would have loved. He was so grateful for everything I did. During our journey, I found many things for us to be grateful for. Home Health, who sent some of the most wonderful people to help us, and an aide who still keeps in touch with me today. A brother whose support was and is never ending. Without his help, I could never have done the things I had to do. The women of this church who have been right there to cheer me and comfort me. When Don passed away peacefully, it was mostly a relief. I knew that he was no longer trapped in a broken body, and he was now free of that bondage. As he lay by the window where he spent so much of his day, he simply slipped away without a sound, and I had been able to keep him at home. The darkest time was done. He was now in the loving arms of the God who created him. I knew there would be dark times ahead, but I knew God would be with me, as he had been through our entire journey and my entire life. I knew I would have to adjust to being alone for the first time in my life. I had never lived in a house that had no other person there. I'm getting there. I have 2 great sons and stepdaughters who are always there if I need them. Don's family has kept me in the loop. My friends check on me frequently, and I'm blessed to still have my mom, who is my rock. She often wonders why she is still here at the age of 97 and why God has let her live so long. But I know why. God knew that I would need her here for me. I have forged new friendships with others who have shared the loss of their husbands. I became an elder and found much joy in building relationships with my flock. I've been able to spend more time with my family and watch my grandson's sporting events, things I had not been able to do for some time. A dear friend reminded me that in James it says, "Trials are for our training." So I try to find the lesson. I choose to see light every day. When I arise from sleep and I raise the blind, I can see the crane on my dock and the birds in the bird feeder. And I thank God for the wonderful place I have to live, for my family and friends, the amazing church family, for Don's love, and for God's faithfulness and continued presence in my life.
Janie, thank you for sharing that gift with us today. And Janie, you are a gift to this congregation. We love you. Thank you so much. God bless you, friends. Good